I'm now going to try, let's see if I can do this, in 10 minutes or less, give you a summary of the situation of asylum seekers and refugees in the state of Israel and Cholot. And then after that, I'll have a deal come on up. So, there are currently in the state of Israel 42,000 asylum seekers, about 30,000 from Eritrea, about 8,000 from Sudan, and a few thousand from other countries. They are referred to by the government of Israel as infiltrators, sometimes as illegal infiltrators, which is both redundant and incorrect. 4 Eritreans have received refugee status in Israel, and no Sudanese have received refugee status in Israel. About 3,360 people, men between the ages of 18 and 60, are currently interned, detained at the Cholot open residency facility, aka open prison, in the desert. Do we have corrections? Are people shouting out corrections?
Yes, are you shouting out corrections?
3,360 is what I heard. Yeah, I get a thumbs up from tomorrow from the hotline. Okay. Which means there's another 38,000 asylum seekers living, working in Israel with visas of various kinds. Okay, let's talk about the history. The first asylum seekers started arriving from Africa in 2005 as a small trickle, mostly from Sudan, from Darfur, Blue Nile region, and Nuba Mountains regions, fleeting war and genocide and ethnic cleansing going on in those regions. Started as a small trickle, and then it became more people coming, and then afterwards people from Eritrea started coming as well. Between 2005 and 2012, the policy of Israel changed a little bit, but for the most part, it was a policy of kind of non-policy, where the border with Egypt and Israel was mostly porous. There was a fence, but it was fairly easy to cross. And the policy is what Israel called a policy of temporary group protection. Those who managed to cross the border into Israel from Egypt, if they were citizens of Sudan or Eritrea, and they applied for asylum in Israel, they were not allowed to apply for asylum in Israel. The government of Israel gave them temporary group protection. Why? Because Israel temporarily cannot deport people to Sudan or Eritrea because of the humanitarian situations there. So instead of processing the asylum requests of people from Sudan and Eritrea, the government of Israel said, we'll just give temporary group protection to everyone from those countries. Temporary group protection under international law is supposed to give a group of people the equivalent rights of refugees. That's not what Israel did. It pretty much gave temporary protection from deportation. So it means as long as you're Sudanese and Eritrean, we're not going to give you refugee status and social services and healthcare and education. We will just give you the right not to be deported and a bus ticket from Tel Aviv. So tens of thousands of people entered Israel, and they received a bus ticket to Tel Aviv and a temporary visa valid for 2 months to 3 months to 6 months, depending on the policy of the day. This was pretty much the policy until 2012. In 2012, the government of Israel decided to change this policy and decided to do a few things. Number one is build a fence and seal the border with Egypt so no new people could enter. Also to quote-unquote encourage voluntary departure, or we call to coerce departure from Israel by either giving money to people who will leave Israel and go back to their country of origin, Sudan or Eritrea, or to one of 2 secret unnamed countries in Africa which Israel has secret transfer agreements, Uganda and Rwanda. Also, the third part of this policy was mass incarceration or mass detention. What is the purpose of this mass incarceration or mass detention? The purpose of it is to encourage people to leave. As the minister Elliot, who kind of envisioned this system, said, because we cannot deport people, we will make their lives miserable until they leave. Right? That is the purpose of Cholot. The purpose of Cholot is to break people's spirit so that they will sign this quote-unquote voluntary return and leave Israel. So we go to Cholot to support the people there, show them they're not forgotten, we care about them, we love them, And so how did Cholot work? So in 2012, they passed the Third Amendment to the Anti-Infiltration Law that says any infiltrator who enters Israel, instead of getting a free bus ticket to Tel Aviv, will get 3 years in prison in the Saharonim closed prison. In 2013, the Supreme Court overturned that and said you can't put people in prison for 3 years or more without trial. Then in December 2013 is when the government passed the Fourth Amendment to the Anti-Infiltration Law that says, okay, we won't put people in Saharonim prison for 3 years or more without trial. We will only put people in Saharonim closed prison for 1 year without trial, and then we will put people in an open residency facility forever. That open residency facility is called Cholot. So in December 2013, Cholot was opened. The people who were supposed to be released from Saharonim, based on the Supreme Court decision, were not. The women and children were released into Tel Aviv, and the men were released into the open residency facility. At the same time, this new law, the Fourth Amendment to the Anti-Infiltration Law, applied retroactively to any people who had entered Israel in the past and had a visa and were living in Israel. So people who had to go to renew their visa every 3 months, if you were a man between the age of 18 and 60, you could receive a summons to report to this open residency facility of Cholot. So pretty much you were given a choice. Either report to this open residency facility of Cholot or voluntarily leave Israel to Eritrea, Sudan, or Uganda, Rwanda.
Kenya.
So many people reported to this Cholot open residency facility. Many people signed quote-unquote voluntary return. Obviously not voluntary if the choice is between prison and leaving. And many people quote-unquote went into hiding, did neither, and lived in Israel without a visa. If you were caught without a visa, you could be sent to the Saharonim closed prison for several months, again, without any trial. This is which amendment? Fourth Amendment to the Anti-Infiltration Law. This is the law for almost a year until summer 2014. December 2014, the Supreme Court overturns the Fourth Amendment to the Anti-Infiltration Law, saying you cannot put people in an open residency facility, which is really a big prison in the middle of the desert, without a trial indefinitely. You have to release everybody from Saharonim, the closed prison, and Cholot, the open prison, which are right next to each other, by the way. Okay? You have 90 days to release everyone. Again, 75 days later, 15 days before the deadline, they passed the new law, the Fifth Amendment to the Anti-Infiltration Law, which says instead of indefinite detention in Cholot and 1 year in Saharonim, 3 months in Saharonim prison and 20 months in Cholot open detention center. So everybody who was supposed to get released from Cholot is reassigned to stay in Cholot at least until their 20 months are up. Fast forward to last summer of 2015, 1 year ago, almost exactly, the Supreme Court overturns the Fifth Amendment to the Anti-Infiltration Law, saying you cannot keep people in Cholot for 20 months without a trial. Now this time they don't completely overturn the law because they've lost their balls. And they're afraid of the Knesset. So they say the Cholot is terrible and unconstitutional, but we're not going to overturn the law. We're just going to call it disproportional. So 20 months is disproportional. Anybody who has been in Cholot for 12 months or more needs to be released immediately. And you guys have 6 months to come up with another law. So last August, they released 1,200 people from Cholot within 2 days. And they also announced a new policy saying that anyone released from Cholot will not be allowed to live or work in Tel Aviv or Eilat. So people were released, and 2 days before they were released, they were told they can't go back to the cities where they used to live, where they have friends and family and banks and jobs. That was last August. And then 6 months later, this past February, the government passed the Sixth Amendment to the Anti-Infiltration Law, which says, okay, 3 months in Saharonim prison and 12 months in Cholot open residency facility without a trial. So what happens when people get out of Cholot? They're released out of Cholot with the same visa they had before, a temporary visa that allows them to live in Israel, except they're not allowed to live in Tel Aviv or Eilat. So what has been the result of this policy? The result of this policy has been approximately 10,000 asylum seekers have left Israel over the past 3 years, quote-unquote voluntarily. What happens to these people when they leave is a whole other story. Most of them go back to Sudan or Uganda, Rwanda, and they just have to start their refugee journey all over again. Some of the people who are no longer Israel are no longer alive. Some of them made it to Europe, some of them didn't. Many of them just became refugees again.
And we had our friends at Elliot this week.
Yeah, well, Sigal can talk about a friend of ours who was just in a terrible attack in South Sudan. That's the current situation, and you've had thousands of people who had a year or more of their life taken away from them. So that is Cholot in a nutshell. So why do we go to Cholot? As I said, the first reason we go to Cholot is support the guys there. The Cholot is purposely put in the middle of the desert, far, far away, to make people feel alone and forgotten, so that they sign voluntary return, or so that their spirit, when their heart is broken, and we go to support them, say we love you, we care about you, we haven't forgotten about you, and we're doing whatever we can to fight for your rights outside of Cholot. And we also go, because we want to see our friends and we miss them. And we also go because we want to share with the world, be witnesses to what's going on in Cholot, and tell other people in Israel, in the world, about what's going on in Cholot. What do we think needs to be done? We think Cholot needs to be closed. It costs about 150 million shekels a year to keep Cholot going. Close Cholot, let the people who are in Cholot live and work in Israel in dignity, and take the money that we're currently using to keep people in prison in Cholot to fix up the infrastructures of South Tel Aviv and help the asylum seekers resettle in other parts of Israel so they're all not stuck in South Tel Aviv. That's it. Problem solved. Have a nice day. So we just need to convince the 120 members of Knesset to do that.